We're presenting the Śabdabrahman exercise platform. So I developed this with the help of Harsha Pamidipalli, who was with us a few minutes ago, but with the changed schedule, I think he departed. We'll get a little drink of water here. So we have the experience today that instruction in Sanskrit is declining. All over the United States, positions are becoming rarer. The people are retiring. The positions are not being replaced. And the quality of instruction in Sanskrit is being watered down in India. The groups that are involved in propagating Sanskrit are focused more on conversational Sanskrit. But these instructional materials fail to introduce students to the depth and complexity of the Sanskrit language and literature. So the students are remaining ignorant of the abundance and scope of the literature, the variety and complexity of the language, the enormous work that needs to be done to preserve Sanskrit knowledge, and the urgency to bring Sanskrit knowledge into the digital medium before primary resources perish. There are some 30 million manuscripts, as estimated by Professor David Pingree. More than 12,000 have been surveyed by the National Mission for Manuscripts in India. And most of these manuscripts have never been used to make any critical editions of texts. But the students who are learning conversational Sanskrit are not prepared to do this sort of work. So, and the younger students are unaware of the enormous scope and urgency of the need to do this sort of work. So students are remaining unmotivated to learn Sanskrit knowledge or to work to preserve and enhance it. Based on my first-year Sanskrit textbook, Śabdabrahman, A Linguistic Introduction to Sanskrit, we created this interactive learning platform. It's accessible at shabdabrahman.org. I'll demonstrate it actively in a minute. It's an interactive platform, and it leads students through every step of understanding and translating, provides detailed feedback and focused help at every step. It's currently available to students enrolled in first-year Sanskrit courses at the Sanskrit Library. And we've also developed a platform, a similar platform for the Sankshipta Mahabharata. It's a one-chapter telling of the whole story of the Mahabharata that occurs in the Adi Parvan of the Mahabharata. And this is in a framework that will allow other texts to be added. We plan to add Raghuvamsha as well. So what is the motivation for developing this platform? I've taught Sanskrit for 20 years at Brown University, and my experience there was that students would be given a homework set of 30 or more sentences in which they had to transcribe from Devanagari to Roman script with proper diacritics. They had to analyze the interword prosodic changes, that is the sandhi. They had to identify the inflection of each word, that is the declension of nominal forms and the conjugation of finite verbs, and analyze the syntactic structure of each sentence, and then translate. What happened is that the students would repeat errors that they make in every sentence over and over again. And then they would come to class, turn in that homework set, and we would go over some of them, but perhaps not all of them. I would take those home and go over them in detail and hand them back in the next class. In the meantime, I've already assigned another set of exercises where they repeat the same mistakes again. And so there's a week or more correction lag time. And by that time, the students get their homework back. They've forgotten the context, and they may not attend carefully to the correction. So there's a lingering doubt and repeated errors that they're making in their homework, and this leads to frustration on the part of the students. The learning is inefficient and deficient. In addition, I have to go over, the instructor has to go over the same errors again and again, spending time correcting them in detail. And it's tedious to correct transcription, transliteration, sundhi, inflectional identification, and syntactic errors. So this is exasperating to have to correct the same answers repeatedly, week after week. The tedium and exasperation lead to neglect of details. Many times I found, as I was working as a teaching assistant for other professors, when I was a new Sanskrit scholar, and once when a distinguished professor at Brown offered a Sanskrit class, I could see that they didn't attend to the professors didn't attend to the errors. And so the teaching is inefficient and ineffective. What's required for ideal learning is immediate focused feedback at each step of working through each sentence in an exercise set. Immediate confirmation of correct work, immediate focused pinpointing of mistakes, immediate direction to relevant information to help, and that the help should not provide the answers, but should provide education to the student as to how to correct their own mistakes. Current language learning software is now geared towards business and travel themes. It's oriented towards communicative use of modern languages. Development of this software involves assembling numerous experts and is an expensive undertaking. The development of comprehensive language learning software for classical culture-bearing languages like Sanskrit is extremely thin. So the Śabdabrahman platform is unprecedented. What we do in this platform is at each stage of working through a sentence, we deal with in a separate pane and a separate tab, and it provides immediately focused help at every stage of working through the sentence, evaluates the student's submitted work, enables the student to correct his own mistakes, does not give away the correct answers, pinpoints the errors, provides links to assistance, and submits the completed work to the instructor. Now, I have slides which go through this, but I think rather than do this in this fashion, let me just go to the site itself. Now I have to stop and reshare my screen in order for you to see that. I hope you're all seeing now the Sanskrit Library Śabdabrahman exercise platform. So the first thing one does is, after logging into the site, is go to the chapters. And let me demonstrate something towards the end here in the perfect chapter. We have many drills, but I'll show an exercise and walk through a sentence I've completed so we don't have to go over it again. So here's the transliteration step. Tavid ratri kramate yavat suryo na kramate. And that's the situation that's here now. It's still nighttime here in the US. Let me, now, if we make an error in this transcription, so now I've left out this Visarga here, okay? And as I check it, it will highlight these errors. It takes the student's input, it compares it to the correct transcription, and highlights the differences. Where something is missing, it highlights it in yellow, tells the student to add something. Where something needs to be replaced by a different character, it informs them of that in a message. And where we want them to delete something, it tells them that as well. And each of these steps then links to some help. Okay, so we click here. I don't know if you can see the new screen that opens up. I hope so. Can someone tell me, Martin, can you tell me whether you can actually see the Devanagari script
yes, we can.
which opens in a new tab? Yes, okay, good. Good. So, and here they can click on any of these in order to get a large image and video of how to draw the character. That may come in a separate window. I'm not sure that will be visible or not to you. Now, that's a transcription error. And now if we correct that error we type in SLP here, we correct the errors like this, and then check it again. It will tell the student your transliteration is correct, and immediately go to the Sandhi analysis where I've analyzed it. But let me put an incorrect error in there. So now I've got several errors, and if I check this, it highlights the errors and gives a message telling the student that there's wrong analysis here. And if we click on the link, then it opens up a window, which I hope you can see, with Sandhi tables. Okay, so can I zoom a bit? Yeah, you don't need to see the details here, but here's the Sandhi table, and there are different panes where they get the different type of Sandhi. Okay, and now if the student corrects those errors, so they can correct these errors. And supposing they make so they now they've failed to separate these words here, okay, and they've got a mistake here as well, okay. So now we check again, and it highlights these mistakes. Now in this case, performing Sandhi to the student's analysis will lead to the correct result, okay. If they do Sandhi to na akramate, it will lead to na kramate, which is the original input. And here, yavat surya without separating still leads to the correct original sentence. So in this case, we do a different kind of test. The first test was we actually did their Sandhi and then compared it to the original sentence. And that showed one class of errors in the Sandhi. In this case, doing doing Sandhi to their input will yield the original question, but it's still not a correct analysis. So we won't find it by comparing the result of doing Sandhi to their analysis to the original sentence. So at this point, after they produce the original sentence, we compare their Sandhi input, their Sandhi analysis, to the correct Sandhi analysis to show the second class of errors. And we highlight these in blue rather than in red. Okay? And again, these will lead to some help about what to do in this case. Okay, now if we correct these errors, then check it again, they'll get a confirmation of their correct Sandhi. In this case, we let them observe what the correct Sandhi is before we go to the next step. And then we take their words, the correct words they've analyzed here, and we put each one in an individual box for them to analyze. I'm going to zoom out again here. So now each one is put in a box. I've identified most of them. But if they make a mistake here, okay, or if they fail to put in an inflection, it will tell them what's missing and highlight the box in red. And if they put in the wrong lemma, they can search for it here, okay? And as soon as they type, it's a flex search. They can choose the correct lemma from the list. And once they do so, they're just about given the correct lexical category. In some cases, for example, if they put in tud here, then it'll put a question mark where there's more than one, and they can see the list of possible identifiers come up. But we'll put the correct answer in here, and then check it. And we have to do this now. Here, if they don't know how to identify with the codes when they're first learning, they can press the question mark and or /, which is lowercase question mark, to get a panel in which they can enter the correct identifier. So, and they submit that and then check it again. And also with a verbal identifier, they can do the same thing. So present, middle, third person singular here. And we check it, and everything's correct. And now we can go to the syntax pane. Now in the syntax pane, again, I've filled everything in. What happens here is that they'll get a list of possible choices that are available for the identification they've given it. So they've given it the identification of a nominative. So there are only so many possible syntactic roles that are available for a nominative. It can be an agent, a causal agent. In a passive sentence, it could be a direct object. It could be the goal of motion, or it could be the qualifier of the nominative that is playing one of those roles. So if they choose the wrong one and check it, they'll get an indication that it's incorrect. And if they choose the wrong parent, they would likewise get an indication that it's incorrect. And the parent lists, the menu here lists all the words in the sentence in the order that they occur. So they just have to choose from the list the correct target of the parent. So now let's put in the correct answer, check it. And once they've given the correct syntax, they can see a syntax tree, which shows the relationships. And I've classed the syntactic relations in two types. One are the principal relationships, of the karaka relationships, identifying the main verb of the sentence. And those relations are shown in gold with blue arrows leading from the child to the parent. And other relations, like the relation of a relative clause to a main clause, are not actually syntactic relations. The syntax is all within the clause. So here the relationship between the yavat and the tavat is one of identity. It's an abheda. And this relationship is not a syntactic relationship, actually. It's not it's not a karaka relation. It's not the relation of a participant in the action to the action, or a qualifier, or that type of thing. And I know Professor Kulkarni has analyzed these things differently using some other Nyaya categories like Pratiyogi, Anuyogi, which are not actually considered by the grammarians. But the relationship here I've chosen is one of identity.
Peter, we may need
so
to
now
wind up.
they're prepared to do the translation, and if they need help in deciding the syntactic relation, they can go here to a table I've created of all of the possible roles with examples as described in Paninian grammar, with examples drawn from the Kashika Vritti. And this is also in an appendix to the Śabdabrahman textbook. And they can also look up words if they've forgotten the meaning. They can look it up again in the glossary. Okay. Okay. Now, okay, that's the syntax. And now they can go to the translation, where all of the information they have previously entered is summarized for them for each word. So I filled in the correct translation here, but supposing they put in just what words have been put in here as word-for-word translations. Okay, I've given them the translations which are in the glossary under the words as that they've identified, and these are all the identifications which they have given in previous panes, and the syntactic relations which they have indicated there in the previous pane. So all their information is presented to them here. Now, if they take just the word-for-word translations and put them in here, okay, night continues as long as the sun does not rise. No, that's not. Night continues as long as the sun not rise. Yeah, here. As long as sun not rise. Okay, let's check that. And then they get a message. No, what's going on here? I wanted to put this one. This is the one I wanted to put in here. Just the minimal, okay, in the order that they're given. Okay, so long, night, continue, as long, sun not rise. If they check that, then they will get a message saying incomplete. Okay, and if they adapt their translation to be more correct by putting in, okay, some of the more correct answers, night continues as long as the sun not rises, still they've left out something here. It's not quite correct syntax. And then we check it and we say, get a different message. saying your translation does not entirely match mine. And it asks them a number of questions, gives them help. They can choose from auxiliary words to put in, to add to their translation, to complete it. And once they put in the correct translation, then it tells them, okay, you translated correctly, sadhu, and they're allowed to go to the next sentence. Okay? And they go to the next sentence there. Okay, now let me stop sharing that. And just close with a few words about the okay, so we've gone through the exercise. Now,
Peter, can you hear us?
So we also show them percentages of their work completed, and at the chapter level, also within the chapter, the source files are all prepared in XML according to the Text Encoding Initiative guidelines, and just mention that the user interface is built using JavaScript and React.js. Yeah. The back end is built using a Python programming language, it's Flask framework. A REST API is created to enable interaction between the client and the server. Data pertaining to the questions is all in an SQLite database, and the host is cited by Amazon. The project is maintained on GitHub. All the data is kept secure in transition, and there's a authentication login. Okay, so I'll stop there, and if you have questions, please ask them.
So in the interest of time, I think we won't be able to take many
I
questions.
see somebody's talking, but I can't hear what they're saying.
Thank you. Any questions? So, thank you, Peter.
Yes, Martin. Yes. At this point, you need to join one of the courses. The system is not meant to be used without a teacher, and one has to be taught Sanskrit before one just goes to the exercise. It's learning Sanskrit involves more than simply. I think you're getting an echo now.
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.